In this video, we will learn to classify polynomials by the number of terms and by degree, write a polynomial in standard form, and add or subtract polynomials. First, we're going to learn all the names of expressions based on the number of terms each expression has. A monomial is a single term. Remember that the prefix mono means single or one, so a monomial is just one term. This may be a real number, a variable, or a product of a real number and one or more variables. It could be something like 2x or 5xy squared. The next term is a binomial. The prefix bi means two. So a binomial is the sum or difference of two terms or two monomials. Can you guess what the name is for an expression that has three terms? It's called a trinomial. A trinomial could include something like x squared plus 7x minus 1 or 2x plus y minus 20. Lastly, we have a polynomial, which is an expression that has more than one term. Therefore, binomials and trinomials can more generally be described as polynomials. We can also classify expressions based on their degree. The degree of a monomial is the sum of the exponents of a variable. If we have 15x squared, the variable has an exponent of 2, so the monomial has a degree of 2. If we look at 1/2 x to the 5th power y to the 2nd power, this has more than one variable within the same term. So we have to find the sum of the exponents, which would be the degree. 5 plus 2 is 7, so 7 is the degree. What about a constant? What would the degree be for a constant? Well, a constant has no variable. It's just the number, like just the number 7. However, any value can be raised to the power of 0 and get 1. So you could multiply the constant by x or any other variable to the power of 0 without changing the value of the constant. So the degree of any constant is going to be 0. So we just figured out how to determine the degree of any monomial. The degree of any polynomial is just going to be the greatest degree of any of the terms or any of the monomials within the polynomial. So when we have just a constant, we would say that it has a degree of 0 and we describe it as a constant. If we have something that has a degree of 1, we would describe it as being linear. If we have something that has a degree of 2, it would be quadratic. For this term here, we have x raised to the 2nd power and y raised to the 1st power. So adding up those exponents, we have a degree of 3, which we describe as cubic. Adding up these exponents, 2 plus 2 will give me 4. So we can describe this polynomial as being a 4th degree polynomial. Next, we're going to learn about writing polynomials in standard form. The standard form of a polynomial is when terms are ordered from greatest to least based on their degree. We're going to be doing a lot with polynomials from now on, so all of your final answers whenever we're dealing with polynomials should be written in this form. So try and order these terms here so that they're rewritten in standard form. This should be your final answer. We take the highest degree and then from there it's descending. Constants, remember, just have a degree of 0. When I rewrote this polynomial, I'm keeping all of the signs that were in front of the original terms. So for example, for this one, this x to the 3rd power, there's a minus sign in front, so there should be a minus sign in front of the term here. For this one, because this was a positive 7x, then I'm rewriting it as plus 7x when I move its position. So how do we add and subtract polynomials? It's actually very straightforward as long as you remember you can only combine like terms. And like terms means they have to be the same variable raised to the same power. So for example, x squared and 2x here are not like terms because even though they both have x's, this one has an exponent of 2 and this one has an exponent of 1. This expression here in the parentheses is as simplified as possible. This expression is also as simplified as possible. Then when we add the two together, that's when we can start combining like terms and then we'll rewrite it in standard form. So first I have this x squared term or this quadratic term. I'm looking to see if I have any more. This one is also quadratic. So adding up 1x squared plus 4x squared is going to give me 5x squared. I write that first since my degree of 2 is the highest degree I have. Then from there I see that I have this linear term, which means I have an exponent of 1. I don't have another linear term, so I'm going to just rewrite this down here, 2x. And lastly, I have this constant term that has a degree of 0. 3 plus 5 is going to give me 8. So this would be my simplified answer in standard form. So combine like terms and rewrite these expressions in standard form. So I have 4x squared minus x squared, that's going to give me 3x squared. Negative 3x plus 3x just cancels out and gives me 0, so I'll just leave my answer as 3x squared. When I have 7y cubed plus 5y cubed, those are like terms, so I'm going to combine those to get 12y cubed. Negative 3y minus 2y gives me negative 5y. And then that plus 7 is the only constant I have, so I just bring that down. In these next problems, we are just adding two expressions, so it's like we're distributing a positive 1 here and here. So the parentheses are actually unnecessary. It's just emphasizing that we have these two different expressions that we're adding together. This first one simplifies to be a trinomial, and written in standard form, I have the degree of 2 first, the degree of 1, then the degree of 0. For this one, I only end up with a binomial because the constants negative 7 plus 7 will cancel out and give me 0. In these problems, we are subtracting two expressions, so it's like we're distributing a negative 1 since we're subtracting everything inside the parentheses. This means that the sign for each of the terms inside the parentheses are going to change. Here are the final answers.